Alright, I am Wacky Anime What If. I'm here to present you with What If Issei got betrayed and got sea monster powers part 4. This is a redo, okay? So Issei has just gotten back to the living world and was living in the abandoned church. And he's renovating the inside. So the inside looks more like his old house did in canon. After it was expanded upon by Sir Zex and the moving crew. Okay? So Issei has just finished doing this, and he decides, I'm going to go and make some chaos. So he goes to make a magic circle and goes into hell. He goes straight towards hell's stronghold for the worst criminals and villains. And, well, he just goes in, and all these devils are at the front trying to stop him, and all Issei does is just slap them aside, decapitating them with a single slap. All he had to do. Because Issei's starting to learn some of his new abilities. Because when the Hydra rebuilt his body with his blood, he was able to grow his nails out at command, so he just slashed people's heads off. All the devils were scared, because they just saw the first devil that went up towards him, his head got slashed off, and they couldn't even see his hand move. He was that fast. Then Issei said, "How is this? Just don't waste my time and all come at me. I'm a very busy man." And he just walked with fury in his eyes. They could see the hatred in his eyes, the fury, and then just does not give a fuck look. And they didn't want to do it, but it was in their job description. So there was like 7 devils charging at him, and one of them used his chains, and they started trying to wrap around him, which they successfully did, because Issei couldn't even bother to move out of the way, because he saw those devils as lesser life forms now. Because he is no longer human, no longer a devil, no longer a fallen angel. He thinks this in his head. He says, "I am a true monster." He says that out loud, and breaks the chains, grabs the remnant of the chain, and throws the devil so far he goes into the atmosphere in hell, and burns up from just the pure speed he was thrown at. And he turns to look at all the other 6 devils, and he charges up to the 2 devils that were in front of him, grabs their heads and smashes them together, and they explode like a piñata. And all these other devils are looking at him like, what the fuck are you? And he's like, "I'm your worst fucking nightmares." And Issei, just because he wants to show off a little and show his destructive power, goes into his boosted gear, Leviathan's form, and they see this armor wrap around him. The armor looks different from before, because he's now alive. The armor is completely black. It has red fins popping out from the back. It has razor-sharp, blood-red claws coming out of the front of the hands. And the worst thing of all, there are these heads coming out from the back of it. And this is because when he went to Leviathan mode, he didn't know that the Hydra had mixed a little bit inside of the boosted gear. There were Hydra heads coming from the back. And Issei just said, "This is a new thing. I wonder what I can do now." Right when he says this, the heads lunge at all of those devils. There was about thousands of them. They lunge at them. There's 7 heads behind him. And these devils are trying to combat the heads. And one of the devils just get their heads completely chomped off by the 8th head. And all the other heads are just scavenging around, ripping everyone to shreds. And Issei just says, "Watery tomb of the Leviathan." And then the entire area warps. This is a completely different dimension. He forms a dimension that he rules. There's just water all around, and it's completely dark water. You can't see through it unless you dive your head under. There is lightning in the sky. There are clouds everywhere. It's completely pitch night. And the devils that are in there, there's thousands of them. And they're panicking, wondering what's happening. And Issei just says, "Now, go, destroy them all." And he commands this. And all the heads that are on his back literally just sprout off, and Issei does not know what's happening, because he thought that the heads were just gonna, like, charge at them and start rampaging while they're stuck in the water and can't maneuver well. But no, they all jump off of his back. They rip apart from him, which is excruciatingly painful for Issei. And then they form into a Leviathan. And Issei is shocked. Leviathan dives in the water, and everyone saw the Leviathan come out. They were shitting themselves. They were very terrified. Their eyes were in pure horror. And just like an instant, 500 of them, half of them, were consumed by just one move of the Leviathan. Some of them were ripped in half by the tail of the Leviathan. Some of them were literally chewed on. Some of them were cut by the fins of the Leviathan that were sharpened. And the other 500 were watching in horror and agony as the water that they were in turned blood red around them. And they just knew they had to accept their fate. They could not win this. Some of them accepted their fate and died. Others tried to fly out of the water. But as soon as they tried to fly out of the water, Issei just aimed a beam, an actual hand towards them, and said, "Dragon shot. Leviathan form." And once that happened, a beam rushed at them, the people who were flying. There were about 100 flying. All of them were immediately just turned to ashes by a single shot. And then, once they were all dead, Issei said, "Now I'm going to turn off the domain." Before he could turn off the domain, he felt agony in his body, and he thought this must be the recoil. His body felt like it was splitting apart. He turned off the domain very quickly, and he was slowly regenerating because his skin was starting to peel off. His bones were starting to break apart. It did such an immense pressure on him, just from releasing his actual battlefield, his dimensional world. So he decides to refrain from doing this again, and he just walks in deeper into the stronghold, kicks open the front doors, and looks at all the devils that are inside of their cells, and he just rips open the cell doors, all of them, by just a single word. He just says, "Break." And he swings his hand one time, and all the jail cells break open. And all the notorious devils, or all the notorious prisoners that Sirzex had, all were released at one instant. And Issei just walked out and said, "I'm going to have a rebellion against the factions. If you want to join me, follow me. If you don't, then just go into a corner and hide like you cowards would." And they didn't like him calling him a coward. They wanted revenge for being in prison, so they followed the man. And Issei smirked, seeing that he got new recruits. And he teleported them back to the old church. And he made an underground facility under the church, which they all lived in. There were thousands upon thousands of them. And Issei decided, I can't just stop here. I want more and more. So he thought maybe I should pay Azazel's strongholds a visit and get some more recruits. Maybe I can even get Cocoville. He was a pain in the ass back then to fight, so him joining my side would be wonderful. And he just put a magic circle out, walked on it, and teleported immediately to the stronghold of Azazel. because he knew where Azazel's stronghold was. When they were friends, he showed him where it was. He teleported into Azazel's territory, right towards the stronghold. And all the fallen angels could sense his presence, because he let it be known he was walking in. Because he wanted to make an example of what will happen when he meets Azazel, considering Azazel is the one that killed him, and the one that he trusted the most. So, Issei was more furious when he saw fallen angels, because all he could think about is Azazel, who threw those light spears through his chest and killed him. He walked towards the stronghold. There was guards shivering in front of him, in front of the stronghold, saying, "Sir, turn." They couldn't even speak in this man's presence. And Issei said, "If you tell me to turn back, I'll turn your head back." And he's like, "Turn back." And right when he said this, Issei just snapped his fingers, and the guard's vision was kind of odd. He could see a wall, but no, he was facing Issei before. Now he could see a wall, and then he looked downwards and saw his feet were the opposite direction. His head was turned completely in a 360 before he could even know, and he fell to the ground dead. The other guard just lit Issei through. He did not want to die. And Issei, right when he was about to open the doors for Issei said, "Nah, I got this." And he just punched the door open. And there was hundreds of guards in front of the door ready to attack Issei. But no. That metal door just flung open and it crushed all of the hundreds of guards. Like 150 guards were crushed by that giant door. And Issei just walks in and says, "If any of you try to make a move, I will incinerate you. You won't even have a full body when I'm through with you." And no one wanted to go near him. He had a dead serious aura around him. The aura that, if you go near him, he will destroy you. He won't leave an ounce of your body left. He'll kill your loved ones in front of you and make you watch. That's the aura he had. And they were scared. Issei just walked through the stronghold. No one spoke a single word. They couldn't. Some of them couldn't even breathe when they were near him. And he went all the way to the end of the hall, in the very depths of the prisoners, where they were treated the worst. They didn't get food for months. And he released all the prisoners he walked by, and let them all go. The guards wouldn't stop him, because, well, they can't do something against an imaginable force. And it was beyond, on par, or even beyond Azazel to them. And they just knew they couldn't do a thing. So Issei just walked closer and closer towards Coqueville's cell. He knocked on the cell and said, "Coqueville, before I open this door and release you, would you like to join me in making a war between the factions?" And Coqueville is confused because he can hear the voice and it sounds familiar. And he asks, who are you? And he says, "Do you remember the name Issei Hyodo?" And he says, "You're one of the brats that got me locked up in here." And he said, "Yeah, but I got betrayed, and let me just tell you, all the factions kind of deserve to die. So do you want to enact all that war you were talking about and spouting all that nonsense about before?" And Coqueville is like, "Why would you do a war against the factions?" And he says, "I just told you I was betrayed." And he opens the door and walks up towards him and looks him dead in the eyes and says, "Will you join me, or will you die? The only choices I'm giving you." And Coqueville felt his aura and looked into his eyes and saw the pure warrior soul. He saw all the anger and hatred, but he saw the soul of a warrior. And he wanted to join his cause. So he said, "Yes, 1,000,000 times yes. I will join you and create a wonderful war. One that they'll speak of for ages." And Issei smiled, released him, and he asked one question, "But what happened to you? You seem so different, so much stronger." And Issei said, "You know what? how about this? I'll just show you. And he made it to where he could show his memories to Cocoville. He put his hand on Cocoville's head and showed all of the memories. And Cocoville could feel the rage emanating from Issei even more, could understand it. And it terrified him. It was an unimaginable thing, unfathomable. And this just made Cocoville much more likely to join him. So he just followed him. They walked out of the stronghold. And before Issei walked completely out, he charged a beam. And this beam would usually be a dragon shot, but he said, "Dragon shot, Leviathan enhancement, watery void." And there was this completely black hole. It looked like a black hole, but there was water inside of it. And he shot it, and massive thing of water propelled out of it, and it flooded the entirety of the stronghold. It was completely drenched in water, crumbled apart, and everyone drowned it, or were completely, all their flesh was completely removed from the pure force of the water. And Cocoville, who saw this, laughed maniacally and said, "I definitely made the right choice." And Issei teleported Azazel towards the church and told him, before he teleported him, "I still got one more stop to go, but I might as well let you go ahead and go to the base and meet the other recruits. I need you to whip them into shape." And Cocoville said, "Yes, Issei." And he was teleported to the church, where he continued to train the other people who were broken out by Issei. And Issei said this is going to be a start of a new revelation, and continued to walk. He was walking towards a destination which he only heard about. He only vaguely knew the direction of, because he only went with Odin a few times there, but it was through a certain transportation. It was a certain train that went there. But Issei didn't have that. He went there once, so he just made a magic circle, and he just walked in it and teleported there, because his magic has increased drastically from his training. He teleported all the way into the god stronghold, where Loki was being held. And all of the gods that were guarding the stronghold looked at Issei and felt the power, and some of them were about to barf from the pure power resonating from him. And Issei just merely walked in. All of them were about to attack him, but Issei just looked at them, and they just didn't want to move. They knew they were outmatched. These are low-level gods. Issei just kicked open the stronghold door. It crushed a few people, but Issei didn't care. And the door fell down on top of their bodies, and he just walked on top of the door, hearing the bones crack while he was walking. And he walked to the front door, opened it, and the front door of the stronghold had opened it after he kicked down the metal front gate. And he just started walking through, releasing everyone he can, and the gods were trying to stop him now, because all these, they thought that he was a influential figure or another god, because he had that much power. But no. They now knew he was an enemy. And Issei just merely looked at them and said, "You puny gods want to get in my way. I'll show you what a real one looks like." And he merely just raised his hand, and they already felt immense power coming from his hand. And he said, "Dragon shot." Didn't even use the Leviathan enhancement with it, and just blew open, right behind him, a huge hole through the stronghold that went 5 miles away, and a third of the guards were already killed. And after that show of power, no one had the balls to go near him. So he just released everyone, got to Loki's cell, and just kicked down the door and said, "Hey, you, Loki, Join me or perish. And he just used intimidation on Loki. Just raised his power so high that Loki was about to have a panic attack and die right there. But Issei then put all of his presence, all of his power back inside of him and said, join me. And I will help you fulfill your goals if you help me destroy the factions. And Loki was intrigued. He wanted to know why Issei was like this now, because he doesn't remember him being like this. And wanted to ask how he got all this power, but he didn't think it was the right time. So he said, I'll follow you. And Issei just freed him and teleported him to the church and gave him instructions to guard the church, be his guard dog. Which Loki was kind of pissed at, because he just called him a dog. But Issei just did a menacing glare and Loki shut the fuck up, because he looked back and saw the destruction and did not want those hands. He did not want to get folded like a lounge chair or like a beach chair. He did not want to get folded. So he shut up and was teleported to the church. Issei walked out of the stronghold, and yes, he looked behind him, did a dragon shot, charged it up for like 5 minutes. Everyone was running away from their stronghold because they knew what was going to happen, but they couldn't get out. After 5 minutes, he just exploded the power out, and it leveled the entire area. Because he was boosting for 5 whole minutes, and the boosts were doing boosted by 10, over and over. So, yeah, Issei just walked out, and teleported right back to the church, and looked at his army, and said, I'm going to do some reconnaissance later on. I need all of you to stay in the basement, in your rooms, because he made rooms for all of them. He already planned this out, very detailed planning, and it was just amazing. They were astonished by his pure strength, his brutality. They loved every second of how Issei was leading them. They got stronger and stronger through the months, and Issei went to Kohai and signed up. And he went back home, and he knew the next day he was going to have to go there. So he just laid down and went to sleep in his room. And that's the end of What If Issei was Betrayed and got Sea Monster Powers, Part 4, The Redo.